seatbelt. Come fly with me, we'll fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, we'll fly away. Come fly with me, we'll float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you. Come fly with me, we'll float down in the blue. Once I get you up there.
Hello guys, this is GG for GB, and it took me a while to get this letter, this video with the footage. I hope you like the Frank Sinatra, right? The song at the beginning. I wanted to wait to think about, kind of let the emotions go and just think about what I was going to say. And I was thinking a lot about the letter too. Watchtower sent me a letter saying, Gilbert, if you show up at this assembly, you will be arrested. And I went ahead and had that letter framed. And the reason I had that letter framed is because I took it as a badge of honor. Because you see, about 8 years ago, when I left Yuma, came here to Phoenix, I remember having a conversation with somebody who I thought was my friend. And it was a great conversation because I still think about it to this day. And it had to do with the phrase, I would not stick my neck out for nobody. We talked a lot about that. And I never wanted to be that kind of person. I wanted to be the kind of person that was willing to stick my neck out for a friend. I wanted to be like when Jesus says that, you lay your life down. Nobody has greater love than somebody who lay their life down for their brother. And what better, way to lay your life down is for children that have been raped or elderly folks, right? So even to the point of going to jail. So yeah, I would risk my life. I would risk my everything. And I would go to jail for somebody or for a cause that I believed in. So when I knew when I was leaving the Jehovah's Witness church and I was going to take a stand, that I knew that by sticking my neck out, I was going to lose everything. And sure enough, we'll talk about it at the end, everything's gone. Everything has been destroyed in my life. I knew it. But see, that's the difference between people who go to church and they just go and they just sit there, but they're not listening. Because you see, when you go to church, you're taught this in the Bible stories. Jesus talked about this. Everybody loved Jesus. He was your carpenter. He was your handyman, right? He'd go to your house. He'd fix things. But then he started his ministry 3.5 years later. The people who he was friends with, the people who said, I love you, you're a great guy. He says, F you, go to jail. And rot in hell. I don't care what happens to you. And hopefully they'll kill you. And if they did that to Jesus, they were going to do that to anybody that was going to stand up for justice, stand up for the children, stand up for the elderly. Whenever you're on the side of what is right, you're going to be hated. So much so that you run the risk of losing everything. And that's why a lot of people don't stand up and they don't speak out, because they're afraid to lose it all. And I lost it all. I lost everything to do what I do. Now, why I'm not doing it thinking that they're going to accept me back, but I'm doing it and I'm sticking my neck out for the people there in San Diego, because many of them I don't know, some I do, but I love them. You see, when you really do love somebody, you stick your neck out for them. You're willing to put everything on the line. Martin Luther King talked about this. We talked about that last time I did the video, where there's people can go their whole life showing love, but it's a utilitarian type of love. It's the kind of love and kindness and everything, but it's only because you're getting something back. But when it really counts, and you see, when it really counts, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't want to hear it. That's why I flew the plane, because I love my family. I love my friends. And I know we're never going to be friends again. I know we're never going to be, friendly again. But I know it's kind of like Abraham Lincoln talked about it too, that nobody will ever remember what we said here, but they'll never forget what was done. Those Jehovah's Witnesses that saw it will never forget that somebody was out there fighting for their freedom. They won't remember a damn thing that was said in that convention. They won't even remember anything the governing body said in the public talk or the keynote address. But they'll always remember that somebody was flying an airplane warning them of the child abuse scandal in their organization. And in them finding more information about that scandal, they would find the rest of the information, the truth about the truth. So I decided to reply to the Watchtower from the letter that they gave me. You've already seen this letter, right? It's the letter that, you know, it's the letter. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to send a letter right back to them. So I went ahead and sent this letter back to the address that's on the envelope. Stop hiding child abuse, JW Facts. Letting Watchtower know what I think about them and their threats. Let me show you a video I think you're going to find very interesting that happened that same weekend in the convention.
Our invitation being revoked, right? Our invitation's revoked. How many hours are we getting? We sat down, we listened for 15 minutes, we got up to leave, and on the way out, you tell me our invitation is revoked. There's something wrong with that? And now we're silent. You guys are amazing. But I think it's a good opportunity. False teachers. It makes you able to teach another Jesus. And another God. So what does that mean? They use the name Jesus. They talk about God. Jesus Christ, the faithful and deceived slave. Should we not be the same? Because they did eat prophet. With the false prophet. All of this is with the Holy God. Jesus tells me, you should be the same.
In that video, you saw all the names, right, of all the people I put down. They're all from Yuma. Why were people from El Centro or from other parts of Southern California, San Diego area, not the ones working the security detail? Well, it's because they were expecting me, and they had orders to have me apprehended and turn me in and have me arrested because of the letter that they had sent me. You see, I risked going to jail by being there at that convention. I stuck out my neck for my enemies. Jesus says to pray for your enemies. I went right to my enemies. And while my enemies were out there ready to have me arrested, I stayed within the boundary. And when they thought that they had won, at 2 o'clock Saturday, we flew the airplane over their convention for 30 minutes. And they didn't know what to do. But when I think I didn't do it out of spite, because I still, to this day, all my life, I've believed it and I lived it. I've turned the other cheek. I'm not mad at any of the Jehovah's Witnesses for the things that they say about me and the way they've treated me, or my sister calling the FBI and saying that I'm a threat. Gosh, could you imagine, my whole family has turned against me. I go to my prayer room over here. I turn off the lights in my prayer closet. And I get on my knees and I pray for all of the people that have hurt me in my life. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses and non-Jehovah's Witnesses. I pray for all of them. And I ask, you know, I pray for them because I know that whatever wrong that they have done towards me, I am sure have done wrong to other people. And I want to be forgiven too. I'm not asking that the Jehovah's Witnesses fall in love with me or that the people in Yuma embrace me. No. I'm not even asking that, hey, you know, guys, can we let bygones be bygones and can we, you know, be friends like we used to? No. I simply have come to learn, the truth about the truth. And I feel a responsibility for my fellow man. Watchtower cannot continue pulling this scheme on people and hurting a second, third, and fourth generation. And more people are standing up and they're being emboldened and speaking out because they understand the damage, not only today, but years past and in the future. They understand the damage in the future that exists if we allow, or that will happen if we allow Watchtower to get away with what they're doing today. So let me show you another clip of the flyover, and then we'll talk about another conversation I had with that old friend.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand In other words, baby, kiss me.
So a lot of times, people say, again, Gilbert, why are you doing this? Why do you fly the airplane? Why'd you go through all the expense to do such a thing? Well, again, like that old friend about 8 years ago told me, well, it was a friend, right? Silence is a killer. Your silence is a killer. Not my silence, their silence. And we talked about that. Is it true that silence is a killer? And I have come to see that it is true. That when you look at everything that's happening, like in the video that you saw, everyone is talking, but nobody is listening. People are silent. Ignorance is bliss. Nobody wants to hear the problems. But because of that, people die. People die. People commit suicide. People die unnecessarily in the hospitals because of a lack of blood transfusion. Children get raped and the damage that it causes later on in their life. So you see, silence is a killer, whether you're a Jehovah's Witness or you're not a Jehovah's Witness. I promised myself I'll never live that way again. I'll never live in a way where I won't listen to my fellow man. Doesn't mean I have to agree with him, but I'm not going to live in silence. And I'm not going to hide who I am or what I believe. And when I see an injustice, I'm going to point it out and call it out. I don't want to live that way anymore, the Jehovah's Witness way, where they're always saying, like the one video you saw me in Tucson, let's go in the back room, let's go outside. No, I don't want to do everything in hiding. I want to lay the matter bare before the congregation. And if I've done something wrong, well, so be it. I want to be an open book. I can't, like St. Peter and the apostles, be silent of the things that I have seen and heard having been in this religious cult. So silence is a killer. People say, Gilbert, why did you do this? Well, it has to do with expectations. I've learned a lot. Again, 8 years ago when I left Yuma and I came to Phoenix, I learned a lot about expectations. I learned that in life, we all put unrealistic expectations on other people. As children, we put unrealistic expectation on our parents, right? On our teachers, on grown-ups. As employees, we put unrealistic expectations on our employers. It's just the list goes on. We're always putting unrealistic expectations on each other. I noticed in my life, a lot of times, and I'm not saying this to brag or boast because it happened to you too. A lot of times in life, you run into situations, relationships and friendships, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, just platonic friendships, and people put you on a high pedestal. They say the greatest things about you. They go, oh, you're so great, boom, boom, boom. And they have high expectations of you. And then they realize that you're full of shit, just like they are. But since they had this high expectation of you, you can never live up to that high expectation. And then everything is destroyed. And I see that with my, and you don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness to understand this. This happens everywhere. But going also back with high expectations, I have high expectations of myself. The reason I did this is because it's what I wanted to do. And I want to do other things in the future. But it's because I want to do it and for no other reason. It's because I want to prove to myself. But I don't have to do this. It's just something that I wish to do. I have high expectations of myself. Some people leave the Jehovah's Witness Church and they have other great high expectations, but they go somewhere else. But one thing I've learned in the apostate community and leaving Watchtower and going through the experiences I did 8 years ago to today is that I don't have any more high expectations of anybody. This whole thing has been a very humbling experience to me. And I just learned to accept people for who they are. And I realized that no one's really that far ahead of me or that far behind me. We're all going together in the same pace. Some a little bit faster, some a little bit slower. But we're all going to be fine. And I realized not to ruin my life and make my life worse by putting unrealistic expectations on other people. So when you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you think, what I do? Well, that's what you got to decide for yourself. And everybody has to put their own expectations. But again, what I expect out of myself is what I expect out of me. And I'm not advocating that anybody do anything like what I did. But I do say not to be afraid, to be fearless, and to be courageous, like this year's convention theme. Last year's convention theme was not give up, don't give up. And the year before that was imitate Jesus, imitate Jesus. And you don't have to go to any church, and you don't have to go to any convention to do those things. So that's one of the reasons, one of the things I've learned in my experience is not to have unreal expectations of other people and to have high expectations of myself. Now, would I do anything different before I learned the truth about the truth, say 9 or 10 years ago to today? No, I do everything the same in a heartbeat. I stick my neck out like I have before in a heartbeat. I'd be willing to go to jail for my fellow man in a heartbeat. And I refuse to live a life of silence. Is it Shakespeare that said, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? And that's how I view everything that I've done so far. I'm glad that I did it. And if I made mistakes along the way, well, hey. But it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And I believe in those words. Now, I'm telling you these things because this whole thing has had a really profound effect on me, and a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are tuning out. They're saying goodbye, and they're going away. I'm not doing that, but Watchtower has literally destroyed my life. It's like Fukushima in my home. If I would turn the camera around, this whole place is destroyed. Everything is destroyed. My whole family is destroyed. My sister called the FBI on me because I was writing letters to her neighbors telling her that her Jehovah's Witness elder is hiding pedophiles in the Avenue D congregation. My whole life is destroyed. And I'm okay with it because I knew it was going to come. Because everything I learned, I knew it was like, hey, I've studied this. I was waiting for this moment to happen. I knew it was going to come. It was inevitable. Because if it happened to Jesus and it happened to everybody else, it's going to happen to me. You know, and those of you who know me and been watching a lot of my videos, you know, I always quote Martin Luther King. I don't want to die, but Watchtower is capable of a lot of things. And you guys know that. So what I'm saying is that I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel like I've reached the end of a road and I can't go forward. Like I'm at a standstill. And I'm not moving to the left and I'm not moving to the right. You know I'm not going back. But I just don't know what to do or where to go. And I look and I think, oh, wow, I'm in Fukushima. I'm in a radioactive wasteland. You know, I accomplished what I set out to accomplish. I did what I could do. I want to do more, but I got to rebuild. Now, does that mean I'm not going to do videos for a while? I don't know what it means. But I probably won't be doing videos for a while. You probably see me on chats or in the comment sections, but I got to regroup. I just have to regroup and find out, well, where do I go from here? Where do I go? I mean, I don't want to go to jail, but I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to be courageous, and I'm going to imitate Jesus. And I'm going to imitate Elijah. Your God is in the privy. So I hope you guys, there's one more clip at the end with a really beautiful Sinatra tribute. I think you guys will like it. And if you have any good ideas of how I could regroup, that's fine. If you guys are believers, you believe in God, you believe in Jesus, maybe you can throw a shout out for me. It says, hey Jesus, there's a guy down in Arizona who needs a little bit of help. It's a Fukushima wasteland down in Phoenix, Arizona. And he got to regroup. But you got to regroup. So I'll be back soon with a new purpose and a new mission. But like I said, man, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Talk to you guys later.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortunes falling all over the town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers. If you want the things you love, you must have showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me.